So hello friends, welcome back, and in this video we are going to see another beautiful problem, minimum steps to reduce to 1. So first of all I will walk you through the problem statement, what the problem says, and after that we will go on to why actually we needed DP in that and how actually we can use DP in this. So starting with the problem statement, we are given a number n and we can do operations. Three operations are allowed, which are divide by 3. If it is divisible by 3, then we divide by 3. If it is divisible by 2, then we divide by 2. And like if neither 1 nor 2, or if you want, we can also reduce by 1. Like if we can at any step we can apply any of these three operations such that they are valid. Reduce by 1 is always valid, but the first two are valid only when they are actually divisible by 2 or 3. So we need to find the minimum number of operations. So the one keyword which can strike your mind that DP might be applied here is minimum minimum operations required. I'm not saying that if minimum is written then always DP will be applied, but like the word itself, like the DP problems are maximization problem, minimization problem, so the word should strike, okay, DP might be applied here. I'm not sure, but DP might be applied here. Yeah. So firstly, let's have very intuitive example, like means which will come in your mind, because see, we are bound to think greedily, so we will think greedily first. Okay, so if I have number 12, then if I can see that at one step I can reduce by 1, I can divide by 2, I can divide by 3. So in my leftmost I have reduced by 1, then by 2, then by 3. Okay, so at every step, as I can see that whatsoever I do, like if I divide by largest number, then I'm getting 4, then I divide by largest number possible which I can divide, then I'm getting 2, and then I'm reduced by 1. So in 3 steps I'm reducing to 1. So my 3 is the answer. Very fine. Why is the DP I'm applying? My answer I am obtaining with the greedy method. I will always divide by largest number and I'm getting. But see, to prove the greedy wrong, you have to come up with a counter example which will let you know that okay, greedy is actually wrong. Now how to like get the example? So for that you have to think, yeah, like see, without thinking or without having any example in such cases, you cannot say that okay, greedy will not apply here, right? So let's have an example, a counter example. So in this case I have taken an example of a number 10. So if you think greedily, then instead of transforming this number to 9, you will transform it to 5. Then from 5, you have only one option, which is transforming to 4. Then from 4, maximum you can transform to 2 and then to 1. So number of steps required would be 1, 2, 3 and 4. But if you earlier had transformed this number 10 to 9, then it reduced to 3, then to 1. So you are pretty sure that okay, in 3 steps you will get the answer. So now you are pretty sure that you can't go greedily, right? Now you will go to every path possible, right? So now you will go to every possible path. Now when you are thinking to go to every possible path, so one thing will strike your mind, okay, now if I go to every possible path, which means that I have 3 options. I will go to here, 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 then I will go to here, 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 and I'll go on. So at like worst case it will be exponential, like 3 to power n, because every step has 3 options. I'm not saying that it is exactly 3 to power n, because at many steps your value will be reduced to 2 as well or 3 as well, but yeah, in worst case we are taking, so it's exponential. And I can clearly see from the above example of 12 as well that our number 3, as I can see here, it is occurring here as well. Our number 2, which was here, it is occurring here as well. Our number 5, which is occurring here, it is occurring here as well. So it is pretty sure that many of these sub problems are repeating. Mark my words, sub problems are repeating, which means that it has overlapping sub problems. And as I said that, see, I had many intuitions. First intuition, which was minimum operations. Then another intuition was that it is reducing to 3 sub problems. and it might happen that these subproblems at one stage might overlap. And to confirm that overlapping thing, I checked one example in which I can clearly see that my subproblems are actually repeating, actually overlapping. So now I'm pretty sure that I will have my recursive code in here, then I will do my memoization so that to get my reduction in the overlapping subproblems. Now our main problem in our hand is I will write my recursive code, then I will just memoize it, right? Very fine. Now for recursive code, the first thing which occurs in everyone's mind is recursive case, then base case, then the transition state, and then the returning case. Okay, so starting with the recursive case. Now what is a recursive case? See, let's take the example of 12 only. I should remove this because it is creating, yeah, yeah, yep. So see, what is a recursive case? See, think recursion in a form of a tree. Always I'm saying think recursion in a form of a tree because it will also help you in a form of a tree. So let's suppose that I will apply three operations, right? I will reduce by 1, I will divide by 2, I will divide by 3, right? So if I let's suppose this number as n, right? So what is the number this? N minus 1, right? What is the number this? N by 2, right? What is the number this? N by 3, right? Pretty sure we're fine. Now I will not go into whole depth. I will never go in the whole depth. I will name this as suppose a function f, right? Let me change the color because green is pretty already here. So I will change it with the wallet. So I will name it as f, right? It is f of n minus 1. It is f of n by 2. It is f of n by 3. Now what I need to find? I need to find the steps. When I'm reducing from one state to another state, what is happening? One step is increasing. So I will add by 1. I will add, okay, encoding overloaded happened, so I guess that it should not, yeah, it's reduced. So I will add by 1, right? Now you can clearly see that from this above state I made 3 states, but actually what I need to find, see, minimum, I need to find minimum. So out of these 3 results I will find the minimum answer and I will return that minimum answer to my parent. Now one thing which should strike your mind up till now is that here I did n by 2, here I did n by 3, but I clearly stated in the option that I can reduce that number, I can divide that number by 2 and 3 only when it is possible to divide by 2 and 3. So how will my recursive states look like? That if my n mod 2 is 0, then I will do, like, I will have some variable initially that int q1, q2, q3, right? Then I will say q1 is equals to 1 plus f of n by 2, right? If n mod 3 is equals to 0, then my q2 will be 1 plus f of n by 3, and like at last my q3 will always be 1 plus f of n minus 1. Then as I said that I have obtained, let me erase this answer. So now as I've said that I have actually obtained my q1, q2 and q3. Now what I needed to return minimum from this q1, q2 and q3. So my f of n would be nothing but minimum of, right? It would be q1, q2 and q3. So in C++, like you can, like many people write minimum of q1, q2 and then write minimum again then q3. So in C++ you can write like this also if you want to have minimum number or maximum number for more than 2 elements, right? Now you might say one thing, like as you know that you write the condition of if, but if for case it don't go in if, then our q1 will be something value which I don't know, right? If I don't know, and it might happen that it may be 0, so what will happen? Our fn will become 0. So I know that I will not be knowing the value, right? So what I will do, I will mark it as int max. because I'm pretty sure that it will never happen. I will mark it as int max as well. Like, although I don't want my q1 to be int max, because I'm pretty sure that at every stage my q1 will be updated, sorry, my q3 will be updated, sorry, it's q3. So yeah, I should mark it as int max, and rather I should erase this, right, because I'm pretty sure that at every step my q3 will always be updated. Right, now we have completed our one stage, which means that we have completed our recursive state, right? Okay, so recursive state is completed. In this problem, I have no transition state as such, so I will keep it for another problem. I will explain you what is transition state and how it affects your answer. Now comes the main part. What is the base case? So as I said in the early example also, that you should firstly think of base case by running a small example up to what minimum value it can go and what is the minimum value possible it can go, right? But in the question also, it is clearly said that we have to reduce to 1. We have to finally go to 1 anyhow. So I know personally that I will not go beyond 1, right? By any chance, I will not go beyond 1. I'm pretty sure. And I'm also pretty sure that I will also only go to 1, right? So our base case would be nothing, but it will just be that if n is equals to 1, which means if n is reduced to 1, then I should simply return 0, which means that if I say that, okay, Aryan, the number n is 1 right now, like I'm saying that here in this case I took n as 10, in the above case I took n as 12, rather I'm saying that, okay, Aryan, my n is 1, so I will say, okay, I need to reduce to 1, it is 1, so operations required are 0. So if my n is anyhow reduced to 1, so my answer is I will return 0, because further no more operations are required and I have got my 1 as I wanted. So we have completed our base case as well, we have completed our recursive case as well. Then what is the returning case? Returning case is what? For n, like, see, what I wanted was I needed basically number of steps required for this number 12, so I will return f of n, right? So what I will do, I will just return f of n, but as I said that I need to have a dp to store that value for f of n. So I will just make a dp array, or you can say vector or another map, which will have size like more than n, like I will take n plus 1, and that will store me its answer. Yeah, so that's all for this. I will quickly write the recursive case, then I will do the modification in that to find the top down, which means recursive plus memoization part. And yeah, before writing, I will highly recommend you guys to write down yourself, because I've completely explained all the 3, or you can say although there are 4, but I've explained all the 3 ones which are required. So I will highly recommend you guys to first of all write it down by yourself, because it is like you should be able to write it by now. So yeah, please try it, and yeah, let's see what's the case. Yeah, so I hope that you guys must have written the code by yourself by now, but if still you had some problem, then here we go with the recursive code first. Then in the recursive code, as you can see that I take the name of function as f, like I like to have small names because there is no use of writing big names as such. Yeah, but in interviews and for your formal interviews, you should have a proper name so as to impress your interviewer. So it will have an argument as n, which means that our number which we need to find the minimum number of steps to reduce to 1 for. Then our base case, as I said that n equal to 1 is the base case. Then our recursive case, in which I initialized my q1, q2, q3 by int max, although only 2 are required, q1 and q2, but yeah, still no worries. Then if my n is divisible by 3, then I will do 1 plus f of n by 3. If it is divisible by 2, then I will do 1 plus f of n by 2. And if it is like, and the last option which I have in my hand is reduce to 1, reduce by 1. Now what I need to actually return was minimum from these 3, which means minimum from like reducing by 1, reducing by dividing by 2, and by dividing by 3. So I return just these minimum ones. Now I will, like, if you have written this now, I will quickly recommend you guys to modify this so that you can do memoization of this part. And yeah, I will see you after updating it. So I hope that you guys have memoized your solution of recursion, but for those who have not, let's see it quickly. So as I said that first of all, I need a memory to have my memorization. So I will make the, like, it should be bigger than n. You can take it anything, although I hard coded with a fixed value of 1e4, but you can do it for other values as well, like it's your wish, but it should be more than n. Now I did, like, the base condition that okay, I know that my answer will never be -1, so I initialize, I meant set it with -1, as you can see in my main function. Before having this function call, I meant set it as -1. Then what I did, if I checked at any step, if it is -1, then I will return it. If it is not, then it will go on to bottom. Then while returning back, I should actually store it in my dp of n, so as to actually memorize that, so that when further it comes in future, then it will not go back in the recursion. So yeah, it's all about my memoized code. Then I will have my f of n as my answer, because my f of n will give me the output of the minimum number of steps required to reduce to 1. So I hope that you guys have liked this video. So in the next video, we will see its bottom up approach, because in this approach, we only studied about the recursion and then we memorize that. In the next video, we will see about, okay, how actually we can write its bottom up code as well. Although I am again saying that for many questions, recursive code is pretty easy. For this question, recursive code is pretty easy, and I will highly recommend you to write the recursive code rather than the bottom up code. But for few questions, you should actually know, okay, how to think up in a bottom up way as well, because that will help you in your CP. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then please hit the like button, and yeah, be happy and keep coding. Bye.